McNamara gets the snap, looks, throws it backward pass, and now Donovan Edwards throwing deep down the sideline. He's got a receiver wide open. The trick play. It's a house call for Michigan. Touchdown on the Transcontinental.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in here on TMBR, the Maize and Blue Review TV. Thanks to Learfield Audio for that call. And if that's not going to charge you up for the game coming up on New Year's Eve, this person will right there. He's the one that had the call. Jim Brandstatter, the voice of Michigan football, joining us live right now. Brandy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Dennis? Good to be with you.
Well, you know what? I've been looking at these pictures of Miami. You know, there's snow on the ground here. And, you know, they had the beach day. I didn't see any pictures of you with that giant orange mascot. So I was kind of disappointed in that.
No, I didn't get down here for the orange mascots or any of that stuff yet. I just got here yesterday, so I'm kind of getting a late start. But things are beginning to pick up. You know what? I'm not – Dennis, I'm into football games. I'm not into the pregame. I'm not into the big orange mascots. Let's play football. That's me. I'm kind of a toe meets leather at 7:30. Let's play.
Yeah, well, you know what? Everybody counting down to New Year's Eve at midnight. We're counting down to 7:30. So I'm with you on that. But Brandy, it has been a magical ride this year. I'm expecting a great game on Friday, and a great game that I think is going to have both teams in the game undecided in the fourth quarter. Is that how you see it?
I do. Both of these teams are very, very good. I mean, if Michigan plays as well as they played against Ohio State and Iowa, and there's no reason to think that they would not, they can play and hang with Georgia, who is, for most of the year been ranked number one in the country. Now, this is the best front seven they'll see. They're very good and very athletic defensively. But offensively, they've had their moments. They've had their struggles a little bit, and that's where Michigan is strong defensively. So that kind of evens everything out. So in many ways, I think your idea of going into the fourth quarter with a game still in the balance is very much, I think, the idea of what we're going to see on New Year's Eve.
I wanted to ask you about your confidence in Cade McNamara, but I just go back and I was thinking as I was going to ask that question after the Michigan State game, remember Jim Harbaugh saying, you couldn't throw some of those passes better than Cade McNamara did. And I remember the one he threw to Roman Wilson for a touchdown that he stuck right in there. I think right at the end of the first quarter. I mean, he's made some spectacular throws this year.
And don't ever forget,
where's your confidence in him?
Oh yeah, and don't ever forget the throw he made against Michigan State to Andrell Anthony. I mean, that's a crossing route. Those are tough to throw because you've got to lead that guy perfectly so that he catches the ball out in front. And he doesn't stop his momentum. If it's behind him, Andrell doesn't score. And Cade's been very good. He did the same thing with Eric All in the Penn State game. You want to know about my confidence in Cade? I'll tell you what. You look at the games at Penn State, Nebraska, Wisconsin, games where Michigan was challenged, and they were, behind. Who's the guy that didn't panic? Jim Harbaugh talks a lot about this team doesn't flinch. Well, Cade McNamara doesn't flinch. In big games, in big moments, Cade McNamara has delivered with big plays and big throws. And I think, and not only that, Dennis, he takes care of the football. But my confidence level in Cade McNamara to get it done is fine. He's the guy that leads into this. And again, going back to the game, J.J. McCarthy's going to get in and he's going to play some. But that gives Michigan and a defensive coordinator at Georgia a little bit of an extra thing to prepare for. And that's always good. When you put too much on the other guy's plate, sometimes they get confused. So, but Cade has been so solid all year, I don't see a problem with him at all.
When you go back and look at Georgia's season, you're right. All year long, everybody's talked about, hey, this is the team. This is a generational defense. This is there's a clear gap between number one and everyone else. And then we saw what happened in the SEC championship game. But when you hear people that have watched Georgia and talk about Georgia, they do mention the front seven and how fantastic they've been. But if there is, I don't know if they haven't said really an Achilles heel, but if there's a spot that you can attack, it is in the secondary. If you've heard one Georgia expert talk about it. And so my question is, do you think Michigan, their identity has been running the football? Do you think they unleash the passing game early, or is this a feeling out process? I mean, how do you think that goes? I mean, you've seen a lot of coaches talk about a lot of game plans, and I know they're moving around the chess pieces, and they've thought about this for a long time here. Well, what do you think they're going to do on Friday? How are they going to come out?
I don't think, and this is just me being the old dinosaur that I am, that you change your personality just because the other guy dictates to you, you do this. I think Michigan is going to run the ball. They're going to try to run the ball. They're going to feature the run, and they're going to be committed to running the football. But that doesn't mean that run action passing and those kinds of things won't be part of the offensive package. The one thing that I think is key in regards to their front seven, they have linebackers that can absolutely fly. I mean, they're so athletic, but they blitz. They got that the old Michigan State, what they call the two inside linebackers, crisscross, and they blitz through the A gaps. That's one of their favorite things, and they do it all the time, and they beat up on quarterbacks all the time. So Michigan, in order to pass, Michigan's going to have to block that, okay? And that's a very difficult thing to do. But the other thing is that if you can get wide on them, those linebackers are gone. They're not in the middle of that defense, and you might be able to make some things. So it's not so much, will you throw to, back them off? No, will you run to back them off? Then maybe, they put 8-9 in the box. They're one-on-one in the secondary like Alabama proved, and you go deep, go over the top. I mean, it's a beautiful chess match, but I don't think you stop being who you are just because the other guy has a strong run defense at front seven.
And they didn't do that against Wisconsin, who statistically had the best run defense in the country, and neither Hassan Haskins or Blake Corum went over 50 yards in that game. But it set up that flea flicker to Cornelius Johnson, which was really like, I don't know, a weight, or it felt like, oh, man, here's the big play everybody's talking about against a big opponent. So I'm with you on that. One thing that's been fun, and I know you just said that you're not into all the hoopla and everything else. You're just counting it down to Friday. But, man, every time I turn on ESPN, here's the commercial there. And if there's anybody talking about, the game, they're talking about these semifinals here, which is, just fabulous. I do have to ask you, the other story here is about COVID and protocols and players that may have to sit out. Do you think here, Jim, that Michigan's going to announce something, or are we going to have to wait for the reporters that are there to kind of figure some things out? I mean, do you have any sense of how that's going to work?
Well, Michigan's going to have to announce it. I mean, that's kind of the way it is. College is different than the pros, and the student athlete, quote unquote, has a privacy issue that at the NFL level or something, it doesn't reach that same level. So if anything happens in the COVID situation, Michigan's going to have to announce it officially. Now, from everything that I can gather, all the kids are kind of in a bubble. They all wear masks. They all social distance. They're trying to be as careful as they possibly can. They are still practicing. Nobody has said anything about this game possibly being in danger of being canceled in any way. And JT Daniels, the quarterback for Georgia, who was in COVID protocol, arrived, I think, yesterday in Miami to start practicing. He's the backup to Stetson Bennett. So, I don't know anything official right now. You hear a lot of rumors that maybe Michigan left somebody home, but I have not seen or heard anything like that officially. And
well, you haven't been down on the beach, Brandy. You're supposed to ticking it all off and say,
I'm watching tape, man. I'm watching game tape.
George Pickens, the wide receiver from Georgia, is supposed to go as well. And that's, we just hope that everybody can get out there and we can actually see both sides with all their players, and this doesn't affect the game.
I agree. That
part would be awesome. Brandy, earlier this year, you said this would be your last calling Michigan football games, you and Dan Deerdorf. And I don't know, the send-off has been grand. I mean, I don't know if you'd even put it in the words, but the Ohio State game, I love the camera angles that you guys had in there, late in there, and everything. And you're standing up, the passion, it came right through the screen and everything else. And then, the Big Ten title game. Give me a sense, and everybody that's watching here and listening, what has been like, this ride here. I don't want to say off into the sunset, but it's been pretty awesome for you.
It's been awesome. It's been unbelievable. And again, I'm just grateful. I mean, you don't go into this season. Nobody went into this season expecting this. I mean, let's face it, we weren't ranked in the top 25. A lot of people thought that we were going to be 4th place in the Big Ten East. And here we are now in the college football playoff semifinals. So both Dan and I came into this season, we didn't have delusions of grandeur. We just wanted to do our final season, do the best job that we could. Both of us are in our early 70s, and both of us decided it's time to go. And so this has been a bonus. This has been icing on the cake to have this kind of a year and have this team be the story. That's the other thing I think it's important. Dan and I don't want to be the story. We want the team to be the story. And that's how it's turned out. Because of their play, because of how good they are, they have become the story of Michigan football. And it couldn't be better for Dan and I to finish on this kind of a season.
Well, you almost want to say you couldn't ask for anything more, but you know what? And I know, being the football player and, broadcaster, I don't know how much you're looking around this game or anything else, but I mean, there's yet another one to play after this.
Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis. I grew up with the Schembechler era, and you don't look ahead. You win the next game. In my opinion, there's just one game to play, and that's Georgia. After that, we'll decide what happens. But I'm at that point where you just play them one at a time. You play that game. Remember Lloyd in the day of the 1997? He kept saying, remember, take that next step. It was climb the mountain.
That's right.
And that's it. Just one step at a time, one game at a time. And I'm at that point where I'm saying, okay, Georgia's the next game. Don't look anything beyond that.
I know you are. I knew you were going to say that. I should have asked him. The final question for you. What's your gut feel here? Like, you feel Michigan's prepared? They've got the plan. They've got the coaches. They've got the players. I mean, they really have. I mean, the odds makers don't feel like Michigan's got a great shot, but do you feel like they got a great shot at beating Georgia on New Year's Eve?
The odds makers didn't think we had a great shot against Ohio State either. So, no, I think Michigan has a shot to win this football game. They got to play well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they got to play like they did against Ohio State and Iowa. But they're a team that has great confidence. They're a team that I think feels they belong here. They're not on a busman's holiday here. They belong in this top 4. And I think every man to a player believes this is where they belong, and they're good enough to compete with these guys. Now it's a matter of going out and getting it done. And the whole key to these games like this, when you get down to it, both teams are really good. Both teams are really talented. You cannot make big mistakes at big moments. That to me comes out, and special teams becomes vitally important. And in that instance, I think Michigan is in great shape with Jake Moody and Brad Robbins. And I think that the key is not turning the ball over. You saw that Georgia turned it over against Alabama, and it cost them. And that's the one thing in big games you can't have happen. But my gut feeling is Michigan absolutely deserves to be on this field, and they have every chance of winning the football game, and they can stand toe-to-toe with Georgia, and they can play straight-up football. And at the end of the day, if they make less mistakes and play better and take care of the details, they can win this football game.
Brandy, I know you'll have a long pregame. I'm going to say a long pregame, but you hit the air 6:30, but you guys have a little bonus coverage before that. But you'll be around at 6:30. We'll hear you with the coach and everything else a few minutes before the game. That's must listen to. Is that the game plan, or has anything changed up here?
No, nothing's changing up at all at this point. And we're just ready to play. I mean, we're getting our ankles taped and ready to go.
Well, I hope you have a great call, and I hope it's not your last. I hope you got one more after this.
I'm with you. Thanks, Dennis.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. See you.
All
the best. Thanks for coming on. There he is, Jim Brandstatter. He's bouncing in the club. He said he's not going to the club. So there's no Brandy with this, but he is down there, wherever Hollywood is. All right. Coming up at 1 o'clock, it will be Afternoon Live. We'll have Brandon Justice and Tanner Wooten. We'll talk about the Orange Bowl. We're working a little Michigan football recruiting, transfer portal. Maybe we'll know a little bit something more concrete about some of these tests, who's going to be available, who's not. It is a fluid situation. Anywhere you go, yo, ain't no Miami like this, and if you ask how I know, I got to plead the bell. Miami.